Okay. Welcome to the next episode of Helpside Basketball Show. Today we have a special guest. His name is Jonny Berhanemeskel, aka Johnny B, Johnny Buckets, Johnny Everything. So we got a bunch of questions, so we're gonna jump right into it. Is that okay, my man?
Yes, sir. Let's do it, Merrick. What's up, man? Let's have it going.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, first and foremost, when and where did you pick up a basketball, and was there someone that actually got you into the sport itself?
I mean, personally, I never grew up in like a basketball household. There was no like, just watching the siblings or the parents play and, just growing and falling in love with the game that way. It was kind of just happened to me naturally, through the course of being at school, elementary school, just kind of playing every sport and just kind of falling in love with it as the years went on. And, I really can say I started loving the game maybe, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, like when I really knew I wanted to push it. But I would say
Mhm.
in the grand scheme of how kids look at the game today, like I was definitely a late bloomer in that sense. Whereas now kids are grade 5 and they already know what D1 school they want to go to. So I definitely was a late bloomer in that sense.
And when you say late bloomer, were the skills late to bloom or just the love of the game late to bloom?
I think a bit of both. Like I definitely think throughout my high school like tenure, like I definitely think that I wasn't someone that was like talked about much or, really showcase a high level of talent. I wasn't someone that, was even finishing grade 12 with like lots of looks. So I definitely was someone that kind of just kept putting the work in, understanding that like, some of the guys that I looked up at were workers, guys that, said, you have to do this, you have to do this. And, I'm sure we'll dive into that later on. But,
Mhm.
just understanding that if you keep putting the work in, if you showcase that, if you believe in yourself, I actually went to your showcase in grade 11 now that I'm remembering it.
Wow.
When you did that back at Sir Will. So, just kind of just being around the best players in the city was important to me. Being around the older guys was important to me because that was the only way I was going to keep getting better. And I think it worked out. It worked out well.
And so when I first came to Ottawa, when I first moved to Ottawa in the 2000s or early 2000s, I remember watching you in high school. Obviously, I got you into that showcase, but that that time you were already like a knockdown shooter. Where the heck did you develop your stroke? And was there someone that actually helped you with that?
I think, to be honest, man, I think it was something that when I watched the game, I fell in love with it. And like, I remember, like one of my favorite shooters growing up was like Ray Allen at the time. Um, but like, there was lots of guys that were so good back then. Like, I remember even like, I actually remember falling in love with like Tracy McGrady's game. And I started looking at his shot. And then I was like, I tried to shoot it once or twice, and I was like, "This has no chance. I'm a 6'1" guy. I just don't jump as high as him. He's 6'9". Like that doesn't make sense for what I want to do as a basketball player." So
Mhm.
then I kind of just, started talking to guys that were in the city. Like one of my favorite players ever in Ottawa basketball history for me is like Gary Gallimore, someone that put me on a lot of game. And I just saw how hard he worked on his craft. How every summer when he was, back in the city, whether he was at St. FX or when he was a pro, just how he consistently like worked on his craft and tried to master his type of shot, his type of skill. And I just learned that, that was something that I needed to do and still try to do to this day.
Mhm.
And something I still like hold to hold with me really closely because I was like, man, I gotta try and master this the best I can if I want to stay on the court as a 6'1" guard, as a skinnier guy on the court.
Mhm. And so you played university basketball at University of Ottawa, and you can you take us back to that recruitment process and what were your options back then?
Yeah, to be honest, coming out of high school, like U Ottawa was looking at me hard for a while. And that was kind of the one place I thought that I had. And I was also looking at UNB, University of New Brunswick at the time.
Mhm.
But I probably had a couple schools that were interested. There wasn't much on the table. And I thought I was just going to go to U Ottawa. And then the second I actually got a message at the time saying, "Hey, the head coach is leaving." And this is like
Oh,
in the summertime. And I
oh.
was kinda like, "Oh, what does that mean for me?" Like, I don't really know where this is gonna take me. He didn't reach out and tell me. I didn't know what to do, and they kinda had, like, a whole ID camp coming up at the U Ottawa, and, Emile O'Neill was the assistant coach at the time, and he told me, "Hey, like, I'm still here, like, I still believe in what you do, like, just come to this ID camp, be yourself, do what you do." And I kinda had to just get it out the mud again, and this is, like, 2 months before school starts in September, right? So I'm already in school and now I have to kind of earn my stripes again. And had a solid ID camp. They said that they want me to be a part of the team, but no guarantee now. Now is like, are you going to
Mhm.
redshirt? Are you going to play your first year? Like, it's kind of up to you. And I think that's something that helped me a lot in my career because I do hear a lot about how it is now where guys are guaranteed starter roles, guaranteed this type of situation. And that was something that just wasn't in my cards. And that's okay. Like I definitely just use it
Mhm,
as like fuel to my fire that summer. Like for those 2 months or 3 months before school started, I think I was doing like 3 or 4 days, honestly, in the gym. Like I was morning 6 a.m. with Jimmy Seymour, who was like my vet at the time. He's like, this is how you work. This is
mhm,
how you do it. You get in the gym, you do your weights, and like the practice stuff with the team or the scrimmaging was kind of that was expected, right? So what are you doing above and beyond that? And
mhm,
those 2 3 months really helped me go into my first year and kind of become a starter, earn minutes, have a good run, have a good career at the University of Ottawa. So I think that was a blessing in disguise. Now that I can look back and think about it.
mhm. So you just mentioned how do you get ahead in terms of how do you separate yourself from the guys who are already in the gym? So you did extra work, putting 2 a days, 3 days. Would you say, obviously, that helped your game looking back, you said. Do you think that is a lost kind of ideology in today's basketball? Like, I know kids want to get better, but are not putting in the work for the most part. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm with you. Leading and answering your question. I think that's like it is a lost art because everyone wants to play games now, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it's all about like finding the balance because I definitely enjoyed like when I think back about my high school run or my university run. It's like okay, I was just in front of these people for 8 months. Like I have 4 months right now to come back a different player next season, and that's how I kind of looked at it. Like I was kind of off the grid. I was just working with my teammates at the time, and then it was like okay, how can I get better at this, this, and this. And, I'd be honest with myself going into that off season
Mhm,
and figure out what I need to work on and then try to get back to that preseason as a new player, as someone that's, perfected a couple different things, worked on some stuff. So then every single year when I was at U Ottawa, I definitely tried to add something to my game. Like every year your situation changes, guys graduate, you might be asked to do more, you might be asked to do less because you have some new recruits coming in, right? So it's like, how can you
mhm,
adapt to the situation? And I looked at like, okay, this is what's happening next year. Like I need to be better at this and this and this. And that just being honest with myself and then attacking it for 4 months was a really big thing of mine. And like I definitely I'm in your gym every day in the summer, man, for a reason. So I'm still trying to stay true to that.
yeah, no, that's I'm glad you said that out loud, obviously, I've heard that before, but there's a lot of people that can benefit from that information because I think they assume that, yeah, because Johnny is a, great basketball player, he's a great shooter, it just comes natural, but a lot of people don't see that the amount of work that you put in to perfect your game every single summer, which is, a testament to what you've built, for yourself. So just talking about your career at U Ottawa, like you racked up a bunch of accolades. Player of the year, OUA player of the years, U Sport player of the year. You led this school in 3-point shooting, 3 points made, 299 at the time of your graduation. You led the program in scoring, 2,000 points plus. Like when you look back at that, would you think you would have the same amount of success if you were to go down south? Or did you yeah, it's a kind of like a weird question, but knowing what you know now and what other guys have achieved when they left to the States, would you do it any different?
Man, that's a great question. And I'm sure every esports guy now that's graduated around my time thinks about it because you see these guys going to like, it's one and done from esports right now. Like it's like guys are going down, and like I love it for them because it makes sense and that's their journey. And I don't know if I would change it, man, just because it's got me to this point. So obviously I'm biased and I have appreciated my journey. I've learned to like kind of be a guy that just is like run your own race. You'll get to where you need to get to. Otherwise, you can get lost in it. But, like,
Mhm,
obviously, the hamster wheel gets going when you hear about this NIL stuff and how certain things get going. You're like, "Man, I could have X amount of dollars at the age of 19 and 20 and do some things." Like, I would definitely be intrigued by the thoughts of it. Like, I would definitely understand why these kids have these conversations because it puts them and their families in these beautiful situations and takes care of themselves. But, I definitely I appreciated my run to Ottawa, man. I think like the brotherhood and some of that stuff that I built over there with them is like, we're still so close to this day. You were in with us before you even got your facility up and running. You were in the gym in the trenches with us, working on our games. So like the relationships and what I've built and with the city of Ottawa and the community is like, I think for me, it's worth more than any dollar that could be in front of me right now, in my personal opinion.
Mhm. No, I appreciate that answer because, people on the outside obviously look at the money and the accolade and the fame and the social media and all that stuff. But I think looking back at your career, the fact that you played your club ball here, you played your high school ball here, you played your university ball here, and that led you to a nice pro career. So you've had an incredible pro career, a 10-year pro career. I think you're in your 11th year now
Yeah,
or
yeah,
10th year.
year 11,
So
yeah.
that's not normal, and you played all over the world. You experienced different styles of play, coaching styles, culture. What specifically does it take to have such incredible success being a 6'1", quote unquote skinny guy, as you mentioned? Like,
Yeah.
how did you find that much success?
I think like a big part of it, I mean, definitely my circle was so important to me, like my family, like my wife now, like, just little things like that. Like the people that have believed in me, and there's some people that get fuel off haters and that works for them too. Like for me, it's kind of always been like the people that are in my circle that are kind of like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like we have your back, your faith, like, trusting in God. Like those things are so important to me because those kind of like are the things that I can rely on those dark nights when I am overseas and like, I just had a rough night. I'm in a country I don't really I'm not as comfortable. I can't just drive down the street and go see a friend, and you're in
Mhm,
your thoughts. So just remembering all the work, the time, the people that have believed in you, like really, really hold a big place in my heart and my career. And then
mhm,
understanding like my first year out, I learned this really early is kind of what I said earlier about just running your own race. And like what I mean by that is like, I remember I'd be like, I went to Estonia my first year. I didn't really know that was a country. And I was like, okay, I got to learn about this. I have to figure out what that means to be in Estonia, what this team needs from me and then
mhm,
you go and see someone you played with growing up or someone that you know really well that signed wherever they're playing in a better league. And then you're just
mhm,
like, okay, I can sit here and just be sad about it and just be like, cool. But in my head, I'm like, I know how hard it is to make it. I love that they made it where they need to be. And I'm going to
mhm,
just focus on my journey, my race. And then I believe that in the game of runs, like I might be terrible. It might suck some nights. It might be really good some nights. But in the game of runs, I'll get to where I need to get to at some point. I'll get to where I need to be, and like that's just the faith part coming in. And some days it's easier to remember that. Some days it's way harder. I won't lie about it,
mhm,
but just understanding like, okay, what can I do? What do I need to do as a player to be where I need to be? The 6'1" guy, not the guy that's 6'5" that's playing in this league. And I'm happy for him, man. Like I don't need to be sad about it. I love that they made it where they are, and I'm just gonna keep working on my side and let's see where I get to.
mhm. So it's definitely a grind.
Definitely.
If I can translate what you just said, it's a grind. It's a grind, and
Definitely.
it's a personal grind. So I've always told kids just keep the blinders on, like, those horse race,
Yeah, you
those
gotta go.
thoroughbreds. It's literally you can't look left, can't look right. You just look at the finish line or see where it is and lock in. So you've done that, and I think that takes a lot of humility. And ever since I met you, you've always been level-headed. You've always moved with a certain kind of quiet confidence. If someone got at you on the court, I know you're gonna right? It's a different Johnny right there, right? It's not like nice Johnny. Johnny is like, "I'm gonna take your food" kinda Johnny. Um, I watched you develop into the player that you've become, basically an Ottawa legend, in my opinion. You continuously try to find time to take players and take people under your wing. Is that is that was that the kind of thing that started you to start thinking about, your basketball camps and giving back in that kind of space?
Yeah, man, definitely. I think like we have so much knowledge, and if we're not, continuously trying to share it and find ways to pass it on to the next kid,
Mm.
if they could even learn like one piece of advice from us, like why not even try? And I think like that's a big thing is like giving it back the same way guys have given it back to me and shared their knowledge with me. And I was that annoying kid, and I always tell these kids this like when I go into these little talks, I was that annoying kid that would like message these guys that are pros, like, "Yo, what does it take to get there? Like, how do you what's the secret? What's the and like there is no secret, but I just wanted to learn about it. I wanted to, soak up all the knowledge that they had, and I was just following their journey while I was playing in university because I was like, I want to go play pro. So what does that look like?
Mhm,
So being a guy from Ottawa, seeing, the Gary Gallimores, guys like that have played pro, why wouldn't I ask them questions? I remember, just trying to think on the top of my head, but like a Greg Carter, who was like the best defender, one of the best
mhm,
defenders out of Ottawa. I was like, why wouldn't I want to be around that guy in the summertime playing against him and ask him questions? And he wasn't really looking at me as like a threat on the court, but I was like, okay, if I'm playing against him in practice, it's gonna help me get better playing against these guys, right? So asking these guys questions, just trying to pick their minds. So that's why I always tell these guys, I'm like, DM me, send me a message,
mhm,
come and point, like touch my shoulder, say like, "Hey man, like what does it take?" Like if there's anything I could do to share any game with anyone growing up and trying to aspire to be pro or go to university or have any questions, like why not shoot that message and see see what you can get out of that answer.
mhm. And so talk about your basketball camps. What do you like, what's your goal for that space? And how do you manage doing the basketball overseas, coming back, organizing? Because I run camps and it's not easy to
Yes.
organize. You know how that goes. How do you manage both of those things?
Yeah, honestly, sometimes you wonder if it's like more tiring than the training part, but you love it so much that that's why you do it. And like, I just contacted my high school. I worked with Lester B. Pearson. I went there, so I was like, what other better place to do a camp, right? So I partnered with the Ottawa Catholic School Board this year. In the past, I'm going on year 4 now,
Mhm,
and we've just tried to put together like a product that is competitive. It's challenging for kids, but at the same time, like they're kids. Like let's have fun. Let's get to it. We got 8 hours a day. I'm not going to ask you to, do defensive slides and touch baselines. Like I believe in the fact that we're gonna do that. That's gonna happen. But at the same time, like I want you to see why I fell in love with the game, why the counselors in the gym fell in love with the game, and like the energy that we're going to give you guys is out of respect for the game and a respect for you guys coming into our gym, trusting us and believing that you can get better this week. And like I always open my door for anyone in the city that's played professional, played university, played club, even has just a message to share. Like I've had people contact me saying, "Hey, like I want to sponsor a kid. I want to come in and talk to the kids about this." Like NBA coaches like asked me questions, like saying, like, "Man, I love what you're," and like that is what it's all about for me. Like let's
mhm.
let's give these kids the best product ever because what's the point of having these gyms closed in the summertime? Let's open them up. And I remember being the guy that had to work out at 6 a.m. outside in the sun. Like now we get an air conditioned gym. Like let's open it up and let's get to work.
Mhm. And so, like, you kinda stole my thunder for my next question. You have a lot of guys that come and work your camps and speak at your camps, and a lot of good guys, a lot of good people. What is it about Johnny that attracts the good dudes to keep coming back and help you out?
I Man, I mean, I hope they like me, but I think it's just no, I think it's just like honest, genuine relationships, man. Like a lot of these guys, we've just like gotten in the gym, we've gotten in that work. Like a guy like Noah, like I could list off 10 guys right now in the city that just like is the camp up and running. Like I'll be there, man. Like what day do you want me to come in? Like I would love to do this for you and stop by and see the kids and drop a story for them, And it's not about anything other than that. Just them just wanting to be around the kids and give back. And the same way they're building their brand, playing pro overseas, like I want that for them too, right? Because there's so much success that's come from the city of Ottawa that I think that we don't focus on that enough sometimes. I think we don't uplift each other enough in the city. I don't think we're some of these stories that we see on SportsCenter, we're like, man, I can name 10 guys in the city that deserve these stories. You know what I mean? Like you're up and running a gym in the city. Like that's a big feat. That's a beautiful thing that you got going on. Like we got Coach Ish who's there ready to help these kids, whoever needs some work. Like I could name 10 people that are just so selfless that deserve this opportunity and deserve the we don't do it for the limelight. But at the
Mhm,
end of the day, if it takes some limelight to share that in the city and I could share a post or share a message of someone's, like why wouldn't I do that to uplift their image.
mhm. And so, like, you speak a lot about Ottawa. Ottawa is your home. Talk about the landscape in Ottawa, and have you seen it grow, shrink? You know, there's still a little bit of fragmenting here and there, but your overall kind of assessment of Ottawa basketball, like if you were to say, you know what, I got this magic wand, and the magic wand has about $4 or $5 million attached to it. What would you like to see happen in the city of Ottawa?
To be honest, man, I can relate this to one of the stories that I actually had my first year overseas. I got overseas, someone asked me about where I went to school, and I was like, "I went to the University of Ottawa." I just dedicated 5 years, blood, sweat, and tears for them, and I was like, "Where did you go?" And he was telling me how he played D1 and this and that, and he didn't know where Ottawa was, and he didn't know about the rivalries and, playing Carleton and playing Ryerson and all these battles that we had, right? And I was just like, the basketball world is so big that I don't understand why we're not trying to you know, pick these kids up and trying to give them the best knowledge that we can give them every single day. And that's just how I look at it. I've had parents, I've had people message me, on a daily basis at times ask me what club, what should I do? What kind of route should I go for the kid? And I'm like, finding out what that kid needs specifically and giving him that. Like not looking at the territories of Ottawa, not looking at what is important in terms of playing for this coach and because he has the connect. It's like what's going to benefit this kid and give him the best possible ability to get better. And that's just kind of like how I like to leave it because I'm like, that's what it's about. It's about the kid and
Mhm,
it's about getting better. Anything else is kind of a distraction, in my opinion. Like anything else is kind of just like it, it's it's agendas that are like we're doing a disservice to the kid, and that's kind of how I feel about it. And I feel like it's better to look at it like that as opposed to dig too deep into it. Then you can get lost in it.
mhm. So, you're now a husband,
Yeah,
father, hooper. How is having your own family to support has your has your has your outlook changed with the game and how you approach it?
I think it's that's a great question, man. And I think it kind of just changes. Like as much as you know it's going to change, it just you can't prepare for it fully. Like there's nothing like having a bad game or a bad practice or a good game or a good practice and walking through that door and like you just see like your little son that's just, 5 coming up on 6 months now and he's just all open googly eyes looking at you, or you're just like, oh man, you just want to hold them and play with them. And, like I think that moment is bigger than any basketball moment that you'll ever have. And, just cherishing that has been really special these last months and something that I've been really grateful for.
Mhm,
Um, and then just trying to also appreciate, my journey and understand like, all these years to get to this moment, to enjoy this moment with my wife who's sacrificed so much on her side. Like I'm just truly grateful for her and, her giving us the opportunity to explore this while playing professionally, while building our family. So you definitely learn to appreciate a lot more on a daily basis. And it's something that I already try to do, but then there's just a whole new world that you're appreciating. So definitely it's been really special, man.
and what's the best part of fatherhood so far?
Man, honestly, those first couple months, being able to just have my guy just sleep on my chest and just like that moment of just him just sleeping there, just feeling like he feels so comfortable. He feels like, like he feels like he's at peace because I just remember like it was yesterday and now like he's a big boy. He's already 6 months. He doesn't want to just lay on your chest anymore. So little moments like that, I'll definitely cherish forever, man.
Yeah, no, that is big time, and I think as a dad, as an old dad, it kinda puts things in perspective that, as you say, when you have those weird games or tough practices or you're kinda down, you're like, "Man, I" and when you come home, the kid does not care, like, they just like, "Oh, dad," they don't yeah, they don't care. So what you care for, what's racking your brain and irksing you, they couldn't care less. So,
Nah, they
yeah,
just want to see you.
yeah, so I just wanted to pose that question to you because I know once when it happened to me, I was like, "Pff, I'm good. I'm good."
You're at peace, man, and that's what it's about. Like you knew like what you needed to do, and that's the beauty of it, man. Like just when you have other people behind you, it's your blood. Like we have this little creature, little human being now. Just all he wants to do is be in your arms. Has been like it's just been an amazing 6 months, man. I'm really grateful for it.
So you're in France right now, correct?
Yeah.
So what's the plan? Like, I mean, I know it's there's always moving parts. Are you looking to continue to level up, or are you comfy right now, or is still a moving target? You got to speak to your agent. Like, what's going on in the basketball world of Johnny?
Yeah, so this year I signed for a 1-year contract here in France. It's also been like I think my 5th year in France overall. So somewhere that we've been comfortable enough to be situated for a long time, and that also played a part, raising our family here, feeling comfortable. We can both speak French to a certain extent and get by. So living wise, we had, like, Western Europe has been really good to us.
Mhm,
And then, yeah, just kind of right now we're in eighth place right now in our local league, and we played Champions League, which is like an international competition this year. So we got to the top 16 of that. So, we've been really competitive this season, a team that has a lot of high ambitions,
mhm,
and, really been enjoying our season here in Le Mans. And, I think as the last part of the season winds down, we'll definitely like regroup with the agent, but usually, just kind of trying to stay in the moment, usually just kind of regroup a little bit as like towards the end of the season. Cause, we have a couple goals that we still want to reach as a team, make the
mhm.
playoffs and things like that. And then once those things wind down, you'll be able to kind of see a bit better image, and, regroup. We see the fam, get back in at Capital and get some work in, and, see what's next.
Amazing, amazing. Johnny Berhanemeskel, the guy with all the letters in the last names. So Johnny B is cool for me, if that's cool for you.
No, for sure, man. I'll take it. I'll take it. Appreciate it, man. I love the questions, and, you get the hamster wheel going, Merrick. So I appreciate you having me on, man.
No, awesome, man. So we'll chat. We'll catch up when you get back, and be well, and all the best to you and your wife and your son.
Yes, sir, my man. See you soon, my guy.
Okay, cool.
Appreciate it.